to make that all happen. So hopefully there will be a recording and you'll be able to watch this after the show. And there's a little red light up there. Seems to look good. Please join in now by firing questions in the chat window or joining us live on air. We can open a seat. I'm sure Stephen will tell me how to do that later on. So let's get going on the sort of serious interviewing bit now. So today I'm talking with Stephen Healey, who's on my right on the screen here. He's probably on your right as well. And most of my interactions with Stephen have been online over the last 10 years, mainly inside something called Academy, and then on Facebook, and in a group on Facebook called Prospect Networking. But we have jointly and remotely organised events and had some fun over the past few years using other tools like Skype and so on. And we've got lots of people together occasionally, haven't we, Stephen?
We have, yeah. We organised the open networking days.
Yes.
Yeah, back in the day, and we've known each other about 10 years, yeah. Online and offline.
It's even distant past now, this stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
history. Once upon a time, I even had lunch with you in Birmingham, and you did tell me what you did. But
right.
Hopefully today you're going to remind me. But
yeah, okay. I
suppose. So first of all, Stephen, what's your trade? What do you do?
Right. Basically, my first job of two is that I am a software designer, and I design software for manufacturers, and that's everything from finished goods in through the production processes to tracking and all the quality control, and then in the final analysis, delivery to customer, invoice to customer, and the invoice goes to accounts. So what we're controlling is customers, suppliers, and stores. That's the manufacturing side. And the second side we have is distribution. Distribution, you don't have to make anything. What you're actually doing is buying and selling. But it's important that you buy and sell at the right prices. And a lot of people I work with actually import from the Far East, repackage in this country, and then sell in this country in cutthroat markets where the margin is between 1% and 3%. And you obviously want to get the 3. Many times you'll end up with 1. So my distribution systems tell people live how much they're making on the day. So they don't have to wait for a set of accounts at the end of the month. They know day by day exactly how much their gross profit is. Now to do that, I have a toolkit.
Just before you go on,
yeah.
Who are these customers?
These customers are spread throughout the country. They are small to medium companies up to 20, 25 million turnover, and I'd say about 1 to 25 million turnover. And been customers for many years. The original system I designed was back in the days of DOS, and we brought it from DOS to Windows, from DB-ISOM, which is a small database, to SQL Server today. And the customers have grown with it.
And installation is bespoke, or
right? Okay. The core of any system is about 80% standard and then 20% bespoke, and the bespoke makes all the difference because everybody's got their own way of doing things. So it's important that things like invoice layouts, delivery note layouts, credit note layouts, internal documentation are all in that company's image. So you've got a standard image across the board. So documentation is one side, which is definitely personalized. And the other thing is that people have different ways of calculating profits. Mm-hmm. And that's important as well. And the workflow, it varies from company to company. So you want to make it fit. One of the systems we had was for pharmacists. And basically, it was a distribution center. And in the morning, they phone up all the pharmacists and chemists and say, what would you like? And they then take the orders. The orders go into the warehouse, picking lists are printed out. Staff go around the warehouse collecting the stock, come back, zap the barcode, and it then creates an invoice to go with the goods, to go out with the pharmacist, sort of 2 hours after it's been ordered. And the delivery goes out shortly afterwards. So that's a real-time system. So between 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock, you couldn't have a single problem, because if you did, Some pharmacist would not get his drugs, and the customer, which in this case is a patient, would not get their prescription. So it's very important it ran like clockwork, which is why everything I do these days is based around SQL Server, which is a Microsoft product. As one of my colleagues says, it's the best thing Microsoft have ever done. Forget Windows, forget anything operating system. SQL Server is the Rolls-Royce of databases. Simple as that.
Well, somewhere inside that massive company, they must have their own database, and if it doesn't work, they wouldn't supply, would they?
That's right.
Goods. So true. It's rather core to them, I would have thought.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. It's core to their operations. It controls everything they do on a day-to-day basis. It maintains the stock levels. It does all the invoicing. It looks after the buying. So a whole range of things that are taken care of within the system itself.
No, but what I was meaning is the SQL Server must be core to Microsoft's own internal business.
Well, yes, they must run their own databases on their own database system. Yes.
One assumes that.
Yeah. Well, I can't see them running Oracle, really, can you?
So perhaps that's why it is good, because if it wasn't good, Microsoft wouldn't be running.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it is probably the best Microsoft product that has ever been released, and they work hard on it. I mean, the current version is Microsoft Azure, which is the database in the clouds. So rather than having it on the server in the offices in the factory, the server is actually virtual, and it's in the clouds, and your database is stored in the clouds, and you have on your desktop a program looks like a Windows program. And from an operational point of view, from the user's point of view, it is a Windows program, but the data it's accessing is actually up in the clouds. And that is a beautiful piece of kit, because I got both the production system and the distribution system running on Microsoft Azure, and they are fast. They're faster than a land-based server, far faster. Right. The only problem we have in the UK is that our internet is not good enough. And whilst at the moment people are quite willing to put the CRM systems into the clouds because they're not crucial, sort of the infrastructure is crucial, and if that fails, then there's stuff. So most people today will have a server with a backup going 24/7, and they know where it is, and they know it's not going to fail, and they know it can't be cut off. Because imagine that you've got 30 staff all happily using the system to get a big shipment out, and your internet provider goes down. Yep. And it could be for any reason on earth. It could just be a slow connection, which certainly in some of the rural areas of this country is true, or it could be that it's been attacked. So businesses do not have the same sort of faith at the moment in the clouds as in land-based systems, but it will come. It will come eventually, and we're ready for it when it does, because Microsoft have trained us all up into using Azure with our own free training courses, and I've done it and I've proved it and I know it works. I'm happy with it, but I couldn't, hand on heart, say to any of my businesses or to any potential users, go for it, because I can't guarantee it will be 24/7. Okay. And if you can't guarantee that, as a business, you can't do it. So
what's in the box? What do you use to make all that happen?
Right. Okay. Can you press lock seat?
Down the bottom there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now that makes us slightly bigger.
Yes.
And I'm just going to go into the background, and I am going to change. Hang on, no, that's not.
I've done that somewhere else, like that. All those.
Oh, wait a minute. Just give me a second. Bear with me a second.
That's fine.
Right. Can you see? Can you see on your screen? It won't be totally clear, but hopefully you can see what is the customers there. Yeah. Let's scroll that down. Can you see a customer screen?
Yeah, but I can't read them.
No, okay. This is it. I'll just talk about it just quickly. This is the sort of thing that the system does. We've got the customer system. We've got a list of customers. We can search by customer. We can search by company. And if we double click on a company, it brings up the invoicing module. So what you have is a desktop system like this, which is designed to be easy to use, responsive, and to do everything a customer could actually want. And that goes, just shrink that, that goes for taking orders, sales invoices, and credit notes. Right, I'm going to come back now to me. Okay, so that's what it sort of looks like. Just a brief feel of what it looks like. Now, to do that, back in the day, I used to write for DOS programs. Yeah, and with DOS programs, you had choice between BASIC and Pascal. Now, I learned how to code in BASIC, but I love Pascal. Pascal became Visual Pascal, which is Delphi. So my main tool is Embarcadero Delphi. It used to be called Ball and Delphi, and it is a system for designing software, the likes of which we've just seen, where you can design, first of all, the database. We've talked about SQL Server. If you're going to have a database, you've got to design it first, and you design your customers, names, addresses, etc., suppliers, names and addresses, stock item numbers, descriptions. Okay, just to give an example, customer information has about 100 different bits of information in there, not just name and address. Likewise on purchases and even more on stock. So you design the database, but that you could use that like a spreadsheet. There's no problem. If you wanted to link Excel to that SQL Server database, you could do it, but it wouldn't make any sense because you'd be dealing with large tables. And when you want to use a system, you want a screen which you can understand. So the first thing that we do is design the screen layouts. Then having designed the screen layouts, we then link the database. And having linked the database, we can then compile the program, and we've got a data entry system. So you can enter customers, you can enter suppliers, you can enter stock. And then we need to build a reporting system that you can get your reports out and get your invoices out. So that's all done in Delphi, and that's Delphi with SQL Server. Accounts for quite a large amount of the work. You either go, your options, you could go Visual Basic, but being a Pascal man, I'm with Ball and Delphi.
So that's a sort of core tool that you have for producing and managing your databases.
Yeah.
What do you do alongside that?
Good question. Okay, now you've opened the floodgates, because designing the program using the Delphi system and SQL Server is only part of it, because you've got to design the databases. Now, SQL Server comes with the SQL Server Management Studio, and you could use that, but I prefer to use a little program called TMS Data Modeler, and that allows me to design my tables and create my SQL. Okay. You can create SQL by hand. So if you wanted to say, select the name from customers, you go select name from customer, and it will do that. But when you've got 100 fields, you can't do it that way. Doing it by hand, you go mad. So you want to be able to model a table. So I've got a data modeler which handles that. Okay. Now, we said earlier 80% of the system is bespoke. So I need some way of making sure that customers are happy with the screen displays before I release the software.
So you just said then 80% is bespoke. I thought you said.
So it's 20%. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Nobody's watching us. Thank you for the correction. Yeah. It says it's 20%. 20% is bespoke. So I've got to have a way of actually notifying my customers of what the screen designs look like to make sure that they're happy with them. Yep. So I use two programs. One is Clarify. Now, Clarify is very simple. It allows you to take a screenshot of your software. It then allows you to comment on the screenshot, so you can overlay text onto the screenshot. You can overlay numbers onto the screenshot, so you can actually describe what's taking place in the screen.
Right.
So it's a very handy tool for documenting the system prior to releasing it. It's also very handy. Its second use is if somebody has a problem with a live system. They can say where the problem is, and send you a screenshot. You can replicate that screenshot in Clarify, and then you can type in the solution to their problem, and they get a graphic answer.
Right.
Okay.
Now, email.
Sorry?
Rather than a 3-page email.
Oh yeah, and picture's worth 1,000 words. So you've got a picture of the screen. They send you a picture of the problem. You send a picture of the remedy, and that's the way it works. So when people send pictures to you, obviously Gmail comes into play. So Gmail is an important part of my day.
Right.
But I get over 200 emails a day, and only a small percentage of those are in terms of business. So my next program is one that I wrote, which is in actual fact called My Message Hub. My Message Hub's main job, as far as I'm concerned, as well as storing my messages, is that if there is a message from a customer or someone who's important to me, it will send a push notice to my phone. So I know within seconds if somebody's got a problem. Wherever in the world I am, I get a push notice to my phone without checking my email, and I know where it's come from. I know who's got the problem, and then I can take action. I mean, I've worked from Lanzarote. Got a message on the phone there, and then went quickly on the tablet, linked into the next program I use, which is Log Me In, because I use Log Me In for remote support. So using Log Me In, I was able to access the server in Birmingham and was able to repair the problem without leaving my deck chair. Sun lounger, sorry.
You had the umbrella, I imagine. Seeing the screen in sunlight would have been more difficult.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the Clarify is the one that I use to document the system and to sort out people's problems. Gmail is necessary for contact, and my own program, My Message Hub, keeps me in contact with people. Then I've got a couple of utilities. It's quite a. When you sent me the message last night outlining what you were going to talk about today, I thought, right, okay, that's going to take 10 minutes. No worries. I'll just say Delphi and SQL Server, and that'll be it. But then I looked around, and I discovered that I use a whole lot more. And I'm not going to bore everyone, but I'll just quickly go through them. I also, in addition to the 2 pieces of software we've talked about, which is the manufacturing and distribution, which are my mainstay. I mean, basically I sell the software, and then there's an annual maintenance contract on that software. But in addition to that, I have a series of programs which are for consumers rather than businesses. And the first of those is Astrantia. And Astrantia is a dual language browser. And the basic principle is you can read the French newspaper on the left-hand side of the screen and a live translation on the right-hand side of the screen, and it could be French, German, Italian, Spanish, or anything. Now, in order to do that, I've got to be able to send software out to customers. I can't install it on their machines. So the next piece of software I use is a piece of software called Deploy Master, and that takes my programs and it adds in all the documentation, and I can then send out a zip file to end users. And we've done that with Astrantia, and we've now got 40 people happily using that on a daily basis with good feedback. So Deploy Master helps me do that. Now, Software House, we've got a lot of code. My main system runs to 500,000 lines of code, which I haven't typed them all, but I've typed a lot of them. So backup is crucial, because if anything happens, then I've got to be able to restore very quickly. So the next thing I use is SugarSync. Now, I chose that over all the others because it's discrete in the background and it does incremental backups, and I can go back to a version from 10 days ago if I need be. And it's it's reliable and steady. It's not. I do have it. Obviously, other backups as well on Google Drive, but I would rely on SugarSync as opposed to Google Drive. The other programs I use are basically for keeping in touch with people. Skype, I've got customers who won't email me. They're happier to use Skype. So now if I get a Skype message, that they need support, and Zendesk, which is one of the premier online support solutions, and that is basically how I record all the problems that come in that are sent to me. Right. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the programs that I use and a little bit about what I do.
Is there anything you've tried which you've then ditched and would recommend no one else touches with a barge pole?
I'm a software guy. I recommend everybody's software. What I wouldn't touch with a barge pole. That's a. You've thrown me a curve there because most of I tend to try software out before I actually pay for it and start using it. So that's the way I go. I don't know of too many turkeys really. Has to be said. I mean, I tell you, once of a day when we all started with Delphi, along the lines you're talking about, I suppose. In other words, I wouldn't do it this way now. Does that do you? Okay. Yeah. When we first started, basically Delphi was the main structure, but it didn't have everything that you needed. So if you wanted an email component, a third party wrote that. If you wanted a fax component, somebody else wrote that. If you wanted a reporting component, several people wrote that. So what you've got is a whole series of software houses all around the globe, all writing stuff which should fit together. Yeah. So when I first started my first Windows version, I had components from about 80 different software houses, and it worked beautifully. Yeah. But that was 80 different component sets. Today, I only use software from 12.
Wow.
Yeah. And some of those are duplicated as well. So in other words, I wouldn't today try all and sundry. I would go with the try and test it. Yeah. Because when you talk, you want a company that's been around a while, and any Delphi company is crazy. So nowadays, you know, there's people around now that they're going to stay. And the other thing is price as well. Prices have gone up as people have dropped out, of course, and the market for the other vendors grows, then their prices have gone up. But even so, to put together, because there's a program I'm conducting an orchestra, and I've got different sections, I just pull them in and use them as I need them. I've got it down to 12 component set. But I've got to say, I've got to be the software brethren. I can't call any software crap. It wouldn't be good, would it?
Okay. In the last 5 years, which new tool has made the biggest difference to the way you work?
I think, right, okay, in terms of that side of things, I think there are two. Clarify we've already talked about. Clarify is a simple documentation tool, but yet so powerful. And it will allow you to document any screen layout. It then puts together all the screens. If you've got several screens that you're trying to display, it puts all the screens into a list. You document it, and what you're actually creating is a mini manual. Yeah. Now you can then, from that, you can then create a PDF, or they've got a website which they host, and you can upload it to the website and just send people a link. So it's easy to use. You can deploy a PDF or a link to the website. The second is from the same people, and that's called Screen Steps. Not mentioned it before. Screen Steps is Clarify's big brother, and it was the first product that they released. And Screen Steps is Clarify with all the bells and all the whistles. So if you want to write a full-blown operations manual, and you want that to be online, and you want it to link into Zendesk for support, then Screen Steps is the way to go. And those two have basically changed the way that I work and do documentation. I used to use, you remember the old Windows help files?
Yes, vaguely, yeah.
Yes, I used to create those. They're wonderful little things, pain to maintain. Whereas Screen Steps, if you alter any page, then just press one button and everybody's manual's updated, which is magic. You don't have to keep sending out HLP files. So in documentation, I would nominate Screen Steps and Clarify. The other tool that's changed, made life a lot easier over the last 5 years, I would have to say, I'm picking from my list here, comes from the guys, my life, comes from the guys at Chilcat, which you will not have heard of ever, and you no need to, but they produce the best POP3 and SMPT components ever. And if you want to put email into your system, either to send or receive, then they've got an ActiveX component that rocks, and you just drop it into your system. A few calls to the component, and you've got an email system. So the guys at Chilcat rock too. So those are my my best friends, as it were, and they're part of my my orchestra. Yeah, because you need, in order to be effective, I mean, to write 500,000 lines of code as a one-man software house is, you couldn't do it on your own. So you need to get together the components that actually fit into the software, and that's what I've done over the years. Yeah.
So we've been inside your shed a bit.
Yeah.
But I know that you're also involved with lots of groups.
Yes.
How have those helped you and your business? How are they? They're hard to talk it, aren't they? You wouldn't be doing what you're doing now and living such a happy, relaxed life in Devices if those groups didn't exist.
No, I would definitely not be living. We've got Angelica online, haven't we? I would definitely not be living such a relaxed and happy life if it hadn't been for networking. I mean, my day job is programming and supporting the programs that I've actually created, and that's what I do between 10 and 6 every day. But my love of my life is social networking, and we've been connected through social networking for the last 10 years. And I don't think that anybody, we're now in a network society, and it's easy for you and I to speak across the country or around the world at any time of day or night, and keep in contact with people. And that's what social networking has done. In particular, I pay mention to Academy. I noticed you went to the Black Star dinner the other evening. How was that? Oh, right, okay. Don't mention that.
Well, you saw my comment probably somewhere else. It was a weird and wonderful evening. It would be the same for, how should we say, any like-minded groups of the Academy getting together after 2 or 3 years of not seeing each other. They would all have fun, regardless of what they thought about the wider groups or each other.
Right. Well, my second tools of trade then must be social networking, and I know we share this in the networks that we're actually linked on. The first network we were linked on, of course, is LinkedIn. Now, I don't make any great deal of use of LinkedIn because all the work I do is from recommendation. But it is a good place. It's a good business network, isn't it? Yeah. I'm all my work is recommendation. So my social networking is purely social networking. That's why I enjoy it so much, because I'm not trying to sell anybody anything apart from the Astrantia browser, which is free.
Your social networking into your business.
Yeah, but I mean no, the two. Well, okay, only insofar as my consumer products are concerned. As far as the business products are concerned, then no. I've got to be honest here and say that my customers don't even know what Facebook is. Wouldn't know what LinkedIn was if you tried to explain it to them. And Twitter is, well, just not there. Most of I work with nuts and bolts guys, and they do everything on a handshake and personal meeting. And if they have to arrange a distributor in France, they will fly off to Paris. Okay, they will not go on Skype and Skype them. They want to know in person. So the breakdown that I'm coming from is where it is personal one-to-one and not networking. The world in which I live in day to day is, of course, networking. So the two are separate.
So there must be groups using
people who
Microsoft SQL.
Can you expand on that?
And there must be forums where people share information and advice and tips.
In terms of that, if I have a question, I don't go to the books now. I mean, I go to, as you quite rightly say, I go online and get the answer. I go into Google and it takes me off to the requisite group. So in terms of my support, is people, but via the internet. So if I've got a problem that I can't solve, I will try my best to, because that's my job, is solving people's problems. But if I can't, if there's something that's annoying me, then to me the easiest thing to do is to type the question into Google and get an answer, and thank the people who provided it in the first place. Because there are no new real new things in software. There are just different ways of doing things, and we help each other. We act as a group and answer questions for each other. But basically, the greatest thing online that I know of is the free courses provided by Microsoft.
Yep.
Which is brilliant. I mean, there's the Microsoft Partner Program, yes, and there's also the SQL Server support, which is absolutely brilliant. If I want to know anything, I can watch a video and get the answers as well. So I don't. I mean, we're both members of Prospect Networking. I know there's only one other coder in there, a true coder. I mean, I don't want to. Perhaps two.
Right.
That would be Steve and Russell. Yeah, who are coders. So there's nobody within my networking group who's a SQL Server guy or a coding guy, if that's what you mean. That just doesn't. It's never figured in. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years now, and that's not figured. So I go online to get support, but I don't actually need. I don't network with programmers. I can't think of anything. It's like networking with accountants. I used to be an accountant, and I'd never network with accountants, and I wouldn't network with programmers either. I mean, and there's some beautiful groups on Meetup. There's a Meetup for SQL guys in Swindon. I hope they don't watch this, by the way. But SQL guys in Swindon, another one in Bath, and I get invites occasionally, but I couldn't, honest, to talk shop. No, not my cup of tea. I'd rather talk about anything else but shop.
Hopefully someone else will join in and ask some questions.
Yeah.
What is the tool of your dreams?
Okay.
Where's the gap in your...
Oh, right. Okay. Now we've got to go back to the early beginnings of Windows. Okay. And Windows arrived, and we had a decision whether to go DOS, stay with DOS, or to go to Windows. And at that time, our system integrated into Sage accounts. So if Sage went Windows, we had to go Windows. Yeah. And we had to do it ahead of them so that we could convert our customers over without any problems, because you've got the manufacturing and the Sage have got to fit together. And somebody released this program, which was called The Last One. And it was called The Last One because it was the last program you would ever need. You would feed into it your databases, and it would straight away create all your screen displays, do all the background coding for entering a new record, editing a record, deleting a record. It would generate all the reports you would ever need. And it was the last one, the last program you ever needed. And that would have been beautiful. It didn't work. So my dream, which is why I still had a job, my dream program would be that somebody comes up with a new last one, and you can give it your databases, and you can give it your rule set, and it will generate the code for you. So if you want a system which will effectively build your invoicing for you, then you can just give it all the parameters and it will go off and do it. So a self-programming program. That's my dream. I don't think it's going to happen. I think coders are here to stay because everybody wants something different. And, you know, I mean, the code, there will always be a job for coding. It's never going to disappear. That's my prediction. I was going to say not in my lifetime anyway. Coders will be around for a long time to come. We're a necessary evil. And supporting programs as well is very important too. I mean, if you buy a program, and you buy a business program, I'm talking here, not a personal program, but if you buy a business program, you should buy it with support. So that you're covered. If anything goes wrong, you can get support either on the phone or over Skype or by Log Me In direct to your own desktop. Support is essential for business programs. That
was it.
Right, yes, so the last one, please.
So that's it. It's all over. Thank you. Well, I thought it was a good insight into
okay, well, that was good.
And how you use tools within your shed to make these things happen.